your goal, the light. You believe in God. You believe in a God, in a higher power. You believe in a higher power.
Right.
You believe in a higher power?
Yes.
Okay. So the higher power, we are the creation of the higher power, right?
Right.
We're created. So all of us have a light of the Creator inside of us. So we are His light. Creator's light is in the creation. And therefore, we as human beings, we need to connect to that light. We need to understand that light inside of ourselves. You've heard the saying, the kingdom is within.
Right.
You know, there's a big lesson in that. Kingdom is within. That's a starting point for someone. So to bring your thoughts into one single point is very, very important in meditation. Meaning meditation is observation, like to see yourself. See yourself. And it's reflection of everything around you, every human being around you. That your human beings they all look different, but they are from the same light, one light. And it's reflecting in every single person. So what we need to do, we need to take a path of self-realization to understand ourself. And then once you realize yourself, whatever belief system you have, that's your belief system. In meditation, Sufi meditation, we need to understand oneness, that all of creation is one with the Creator. It's one light, one energy. And that once you connect to your energy, then your mind is beautiful, your heart is beautiful, there's no fear, your peace, always in peace. Everything in your world is going okay. Everything is going to happen very smoothly, content. And even if some things are not going well for you, it's not going to bother you too much. Because you're going to be connected to your inner light, your inner self. So the journey is self-realization. To realize yourself. When you realize yourself with conscious, with your mind, with your heart, with your soul, when you understand it all, how it works together, meaning your mind is not here, your soul is not living here, your heart is not here, everything is gonna work together. It's all one, oneness. So the main subject of meditation is oneness, one. So you bring yourself to one single point in yourself. You call that light of God, you call it energy of God, you call it energy, you call it light, you call it bliss, you call it your master. The perfection has to happen inside of us. And this is our goal in life, to recognize ourselves. Once we recognize ourselves, then we truly recognize God's reality. Then we recognize God's reality. You cannot just talk about something and you have no experience. You have to experience. So what you mentioned is very good, that you said, when you go to places where there's talk but there's no meditation, we advise that, when we come on Fridays, this is ongoing development. It's a never ending, meaning if you come here Friday, you're going to receive something in your heart. But when you go back home, you have to continue your meditations. Don't get lost in your thoughts. Don't get lost in ritual. You have to become focused. And you have to discipline your mind to focus in your heart. Because until your heart is connected to the light of God, I like to say, once that light is connected in your heart to you, then all of your world around you, you will see in a very beautiful heavenly way. Very relaxed, very nice, very peaceful. No depression, no anxiety, none of that. Instead, now your heart is going to desire only one thing, the light of God. So then what happens to you? You fall in love. Not just love with a human being, but the love of reality, meaning your higher self. your higher self. You go from a journey from your lower self, like we're like animals in the beginning, right? We eat, we bark, meaning we talk, right? We eat, we sleep, and we work, and we just have a circle, right? There's no spirit. Once the mind and heart gives you interest, like an interest in knowing yourself, know that that's coming from somewhere special. Yeah, you thought about it. You thought about getting to know your inner self, but where did that thought come from? You understand that? There was a message that came in your mind, in your heart, that you want to know yourself. Where did that come from? Right? It came into your body. Now, your mind, your intellect, your deepest mind, the higher self, wants to know himself. That's all it wants now. Yes, you do your work, you continue that. You continue your life. You continue everything. However, all that is secondary. First is to know yourself. Once you're confident in yourself, then everything happens by the will and the majesty of God's grace. It happens. The feeling of God, the feeling of reality of God, the reality of God's light, meaning that this world exists, right? This world exists. The universe exists. All of the creation exists. The trees, the animals, the system for human beings that you're provided food to eat. You're given, you have a system going, you have a job to go to, you have a family to raise, you have a significant other, you have a relationship, you have friends in relationship. All these things are happening, right? But even while it's all happening, beyond this, and the essence of it, how is it happening? And who is making it happen? These questions are called reflection, contemplation, to reflect of who am I? And how is this happening? And how did it come into creation? And what is my purpose in life? Where am I going? All these realities are the deeper contemplations of meditation. You can sit there, go just deeper into your heart. It's not just a ritual. Meditation is not a ritual. It starts you with peace, right? We tell you to focus on one point, or you focus on a meditation, or what you will experience in Sufi meditation is there's 2 parts to it. So it's broken down in 3 parts. First part is you understand the concept, right? You understand, so you're able to focus on it properly. Second part is zikr. Zikr means, have you ever heard of mantra?
Mantras, yes.
Zikr is a mantra, but it's a supercharged mantra. It's been being said over 1400 years by the prophetic lights, right? So they're recited in a mantra language, Arabic language. Zikr, it's called. Zikr actually means divine remembrance, meaning you're remembering divine in you. But you're not remembering, because when I say you, naturally we think we're talking to me and you, right? Raul, me, right? We're talking. Actually, go beyond that you. We're trying to go to the real you. You understand? So what we need to remove is the false you. What is the false you? The inner chatter. The one you think is Raul, the one that lives, the one that was born, the one that has a family, the one that has a blood lineage, the one that has a grandfather. This is a human system, right? But beyond that, when we go into the spiritual system, the only you that exists is the essence of the reality of God. That's the only reality that exists, because the light of God is everything. Because the creation is from the existence of, from nothing into something, right? Before this system, before this entire creation came into existence, there was nothing. There was nothing. Then it was created. So if you take yourself back to then when there was nothing, then it came into something. Who brought it from nothing to something? Just like you and I and everybody. We were nothing, then we came into something. We were nothing, then we came into creation. Now we exist. But before we were non-existent, right? But we were non-existent, but even in non-existence we existed, and in existence we exist, because the light of God is in non-existence and existence. Because the light of God or God's reality or the Creator, it was there before existence. Before existence it was there. It was always there. And now it's existent again, but in a form, meaning we have a form now. And that form's reality, the Sufi teachings they teach, is to recognize one thing. Recognize your real self. When you recognize your real self, you recognize God's reality. When you recognize your real self, you recognize God's reality. This is some of the first part of the Sufi gatherings that we speak about it a little bit, so we start understanding self-realization. Because the real thing is you go home and you recognize yourself. This is the main thing. You go home, you sit on your bed, you look around, you look inside yourself, and you recognize yourself. Who am I? You should ask yourself sincerely that question. Who am I? What is my purpose in life? And you must ask, a lot of times people worship a God, but they never connect to a God. Do you agree?
Yes.
They worship a God, but they never connect to a God. They never see a God, or they never feel a God, and they never experience any godliness. Or I say God consciousness, right? Like a connection of love, a true connection. Like I have a connection. Like you should be able to feel that connection. But that one reality, to recognize that reality, how are you going to do it? That's called contemplation and meditation. To recognize yourself. Because at the end of the day, it's not about you only. Because if you recognize yourself, you recognize the entire creation. Because you yourself are the entire creation, created by the one Creator. There's only two different groups that we put it in. Ego puts it in two groups. The God and creation. God created creation, if you believe in God, right? God created creation. However, if God created creation, then all of the creation is by Him. And if all the existence is by Him, then His essence is in creation too. So now we need to look for that. We need to find our GPS map. We need to find, and the GPS map, every single religion leads it back to, every religion. You can read any book in the religion. They say that God is in the heart of a believer. This is a Sufi Quranic teaching, that God is in the heart of a believer, but I've read in many places that God is in your heart. And in the Jesus, Isa alayhi salam's teaching is, kingdom is within. So all of these, we have to understand the deeper meaning of these realities. Because there is a reality. And there's a false reality. Most of us live in false, fake, a world that is made by us. But we cannot go beyond that doorway. To go beyond that doorway, that happens with true, sincere prayer and true, sincere meditation and contemplation. The contemplation is a very key role for you to ask questions in your heart. Now, what have you been doing? What kind of meditation have you been doing personally, and yourself too? How have you been focusing on your meditation?
I mean, I do, I do personal time with myself. But I haven't done much meditation because I haven't been guided how to do it, like I was telling you, I've been taught how to do it, but I've been never shown the way, you know. So it's hard to put, you know, they give you a instruction book and now you do it, and it's not about that, you know. So
that's a good point.
You know, so that's why I've been looking with other brothers and looking for, you know, places that can meditate and show you the way, you know, not just giving you a bunch of instructions and following them. So what I do my personal time with myself, you know. So I do some chants and whatever the basics I was taught, you know.
If you don't mind me asking, where were you taught and what were you taught?
I was taught at the Moorish Science Temple of America.
What was it?
I was taught at the temple.
Which one?
Moorish Science Temple of America.
Moorish?
Yes.
Okay. Where, which location?
In Chicago.
Okay.
There's multiple.
Yes.
Yes.
I'm aware of them.
Yeah, so that's where I got most of what I know right now. So, but we don't do much meditation, you know, so I'm okay with learning some stuff, but
sure, I
think this is beyond that, you know, beyond just
what
things.
What were you taught when you were given instructions?
So I was taught mantras and different.
Which mantra?
You know what? I write them down because, you know, we don't usually do them in English.
Yeah.
Because you gotta have the effect doing it in the proper.
That's right.
Language. So, just mantras and that's basically what I was taught. You know, nothing very deep. So that's why I'm here.
Okay. And what was your name? Miley. Tell me a little bit about yourself in meditation.
In meditation, I don't really have much experience. The only thing I would have would be like when we do meditation, yoga in college.
Yeah.
But that's, you know, or if you watch a YouTube and you just, you know, kind of meditate with them. But I'm not very familiar with that.
Have you practiced? And how many years of meditation have you practiced?
I don't know. Like about 3 years now.
What do you do now? Any type of practices that you do for yourself, or any prayer practices?
Well, I pray all the time. But I attend church regularly, so
okay.
I pray.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
What do you think you're desiring the most in your inner self? What is your innermost desire when it comes to your own spiritual needs or nourishment or food?
I think just to grow.
To grow.
To grow.
How about you, Ro?
What was that question?
What were you? What is your innermost desire? What are you trying to gain from your?
What I'm trying to gain is, I want to know myself, you know, my inner self, and I hear it a lot of times that, you know, once you know your inner self, not just physically but spiritually, then you know God, you know. And I always hear that, you know, theology or whatever you want to call it, but I want to experience it myself, you know. So that's my thing, getting to know myself and have that encounter that I've heard from other people, but I just heard it. I want to experience it myself. So that's what I want to get out of all this.
So you have a good intention, and this is the highest desire. In the valley of spiritual path, a spiritual journey, the highest desire is one to know himself, because in knowing yourself, you know God. This is the highest desire. Now, it's very important, one thing I will give you, because you guys are still fairly new. When you start in the journey, let's say, you know, you start picking it up and you're practicing, you're practicing with sincerity. This is key. Simplicity and sincerity. When with simplicity you start practicing meditation, you always have to remember to stay sincere to your initial desire. Meaning, the highest desire is to know God. Highest desire is to know God's reality. within yourself. Okay? This is very important as well. Not a God outside yourself. This is very important. Highest desire is to know God within yourself. Okay? In Sufis, this is called the confession to yourself. La ilaha illallah. Okay? That I negate my reality. I negate, meaning that I confess that I do not exist. What I mean by that is my ego self does not exist. Then there is illallah. Then there is existence of God. When you hold on to that one thought, your meditation starts sparking flame into your heart. And all you're doing is in your meditation is observing that reality, that connection, you see? Because now you're connecting to something beyond yourself. But in the way, you're going to get a lot of tests and trials, okay? What do I mean by tests and trials? Everything around you is a distraction. Everything is a distraction. If God is the highest inner self, okay? Highest inner self is God's light to you, for everyone to recognize within themselves. This is self-recognition. Self-recognition. Self-realization. You understand? When your intention and your desire is to know the highest inner self, which is God, and God could be in many different names, right? Once you know your highest inner self, now that highest inner self and the lower self, the ego self, is going and merging with the higher inner self's light. Meaning that you yourself, not you, but your ego self is surrendering moment by moment by moment by moment by moment into the higher inner self. If God is one light and you are an ego, you would throw yourself and burn your ego fully. Because you only want to know one reality. Not you want to know, because there is only one reality. There's only one reality. And every human being is after that one reality. Until we recognize that one reality, we will feel disconnected. We feel disconnected. When we feel disconnected, in that space between connection and disconnection, in that space in between, we feel all the negativity that starts accumulating inside of our inner self. Remember, we are empty beings. We're empty. When you're empty, that means you're completely full and filled with light. Filled with light of God. When you're empty, you're filled with light of God. So when we take this approaches of prayer, meditation, contemplation, what we're doing is purifying the inner self. What inner self? We have to purify the heart so God's light can reflect fully in yourself. So the attributes of God, you can reflect. You can see yourself within your own self. So God's attributes are seen in your own self. God is all merciful. God is ever living. God is just. God is compassionate. All these realities are within man. And when that heart is purified fully, when there's no more black dots left in the heart, and there's no more rust in the heart, you brush it away with meditation, zikr, purification, contemplation, then that encounter of one with the beloved happens. Sufis use the words lover and the beloved. The seeker turns into a lover who finds his beloved. So this is a relationship between the beloved and the lover. The beloved is God's reality, and the lover is the seeker. So in the process, of course, let's say all of us here, we continue our journey, right? But we're We know God exists, but why is it we go look and sit with human beings? If God exists, why are we sitting with human beings? We should look for God, right? However, there's a secret in that God put his own self in man's image, meaning that his light exists in man. There's some people that live in the ego self and they're looking for God, and some are perfect like the prophets, messengers, and the saints, but special saints, right? I don't mean by every saint. They're known as the perfect masters, or Sufis call Mureed. Then you need to find in your journey a Mureed, a master who is perfect light. What I mean by that is we're filthy people, right? We are growing. We're not clean. We're not even seeing God's reality. We're still learning God's reality. But some beings God has put on earth that he put his own light in, but that person is a reflection of God's existence. What I mean by that is the attributes of God exist in that being. And that person is made a bondsman, meaning like almost like it is like a prophet of that time, right? That being is there to guide everyone back to their reality. But that guiding by that master, or the perfect master, is he is guiding you by his strategy back to your inner self. You understand? So the master is like a perfect mirror. When you go in front of a real master, when you meditate, you start seeing all these things about yourself that you want to remove, right? So you start getting cleansed inside of yourself. When you go in front of like a powerful being which has the light of God in them, that person starts reflecting this light. And when you're sitting in people around those type of people, those real beings, you recognize everything in yourself. It magnifies and shows your ego self. When that ego self comes in front of you, it starts being removed from your vessel called the body. So God's light can reflect in your heart. Every human being is made to recognize God within, not outside yourself, right? The outside prayers, this is the beautiful part. Anybody that prays to a God, it's either they do it because it's forced by religion, or they truly love God. It's one of those two paths, right? We need to understand which path are we on. Are we truly in love with God more than ourselves? Is it a conditional love or unconditional love? Is it a ritualistic behavior, or is it truly I am in lost intoxication with my beloved? Meaning that when I speak to him, I speak to him as he is my friend. He's not far away from me. So there's a Sufi teaching that talks about that God is as close to you as you think of him. If you think God is up in the heavens, then he is very far away from you. And if you think he's so near to you, then he is near to you. It's a matter of shifting your thoughts. Same thing goes with negative. You guys understand negativity and positivity, right? When you are thinking negative, what happens to your inside? You start feeling disgusting almost, right? You're not happy with yourself. When you're positive and you try to stay away from negative, or you have enough mental strength and mental willpower that you have practiced on yourself, then you're able to see the negativity and you're able to stop it from entering yourself. Then slowly, gradually, that becomes a normal thing for you. Positivity becomes a normal lifestyle for you. You're not living in a negative darkness anymore. You have climbed out of that and you've came into a place of positivity, right? And it's same concept you can take for anything. When we eat food, right? If we eat unhealthy, we can feel the effect on our bodies little by little, right? We may not feel it right away, But we hear about it. Oh, we should eat healthy. We should eat healthy. We hear about it. But even when we hear about it, we still go eating unhealthy, right? We all do that, right? Yeah, let me grab some French fries. It's for $1, right? Or whatever. But we had a choice in that condition, right? We had a choice to make. So that's just your health, right? Your physical health. How many of us really focus on our spiritual food, spiritual nourishment? What does the soul need? Meaning, from the body, soul, all is aligned as one. But it is not aligned as one for all of us. We're still trying to figure it out. But to pay attention to that is very necessary. To pay attention to my spiritual health is very necessary. We may go out on, to have parties, right? Have a couple drinks, sit down, and a couple drinks later, we feel a very awesome intoxication. Then after that intoxication, we want more of it. Because our tolerance level increases and we want to drink more and more and more because we feel good, we feel free. Right? That's how the body feels. It feels disconnected from itself in that state of drunkardness. Right? When we feel drunk, we feel good. But the next morning when we wake up, we have a hangover or we don't feel good or something's in my body has a pain, right? Now take that reality. Everything is a subset of the real reality. Everything that we do. The actual drunkardness, the drunken feeling that the soul is looking for, because we are not a body, we are a soul. So the soul is actually looking for a drunken state, which is our natural state. Natural state. Okay? That's why we take any substance, whether it's drinking or smoking, fine. Why are we doing it? Is because we want to feel a special intoxication. Because it feels good. But natural. Our soul desires that drunken feeling. And that drunken feeling on the highest level is called love. It's height of love. Sufis call it ishq. And that ishq is your union with your real self. Your union with your real self. Your connection to your real self. Meaning your connection with God. Your connection with God's reality. In that reality, you can read many books. I will advise you guys to read a specific, books that you guys will enjoy. Poetry and poems of Rumi and many different type of books, like, this is one of them, The Everything and the Nothing, to understand that all is existent and non-existent, but non-existence and existence is God existence. Non-existence and existence, the emptiness and the full, is all God existence. Sufis call this, in the Quran, it says, Allahu nuru samawati wal ard. Allah, God, is the light of heavens and the earth. Now, heavens and the earth, think about that reality. From the lowest earth all the way to the highest heaven, and everything in between. Right? Our master, our spiritual master, he speaks about everything from the lowest earth to the highest heaven, and everything beyond, and everything to the right, and everything to the left, and everything eternal is the existence of God. Everything is His light. And all of that light can be experienced in man when he loses his ego self. Also known as purifying the nafs. Nafs is another word for self. Purification of the self. So when you purify the self, you reach the real self. You go from the false self to the higher self. The reality of the higher self is the reality of yourself. Then you have the encounter of there's no reality, only God's reality. Everywhere I look is reality of God. Everything I feel is the reality of God. Every vibration I feel is the reality of God. Every move that I make is the reality of God. God lives in me. The satanic feelings no longer exist. The negativity no longer exists. Because I have overcome that, because I've taken my mind, my heart, and my will, and I have submitted and surrendered it in the court of God. But that court of God is not outside of you. Outside of you is the expression of what's happening inside of you. That's your inner self expressing it out in the apparent world. The exoteric world and the esoteric world. The inner world and the outer world. Zahir and batin. Outer and inner. All is one reality. So that focus when you're in meditation, when you go outside, when you're walking, or when you go to the restaurant, when you sit down, just look around, look at the different people, right? But don't look at them from your eyes. Let me tell you what I mean by that. Don't look at people from, I am looking at him. Instead, see it as God is existent, even putting yourself in that reality. That everything is just happening. The more you start identifying yourself as only God's existence, meaning not yourself, just God's existence. There's only His existence. Just happening. It's happening. And you start looking at everything, that everything is the creation of God. Everything is just happening. And you're looking everywhere and you're seeing God's reality. God's reality. The more you focus on this meditation, God's reality, and it's just happening in your mind, the more your inner eye will mature. When your inner eye matures, then yes, it only sees the reality of God. But it does require some sincere, not much, and we'll talk about it before you guys leave, that what you should focus on every morning before, when you wake up and when you go to sleep, a little time, just 10 minutes. And then you just focus on that meditation before you go to bed. Little by little, gradually, and then continuing, coming to class, going outside, always being in meditation will make you a meditator that doesn't even need to meditate. It will just become natural. Observation will become natural. We need to just understand that. That's one portion that we understand, we read, we nourish the intellect for spiritual understanding, right? Second is doing your zikr and meditation. Focusing on, zikr again is mantra. But zikr is the supercharged, it flushes out the negativity and puts you back into union with the one that is remembering. So you are remembering the zikr, the remembered, right? The beloved is being remembered by the lover. Beloved and lover. Keep that concept in mind, because you will hear this a lot, and you will see it in many books. Many books. Any Sufi book that you read. Now, let me tell you just a little bit what Sufi is, right? A Sufi is nameless and formless, meaning he has no desire. He desires nothing but beloved. He has no desire for the world. He has no desire for anything of the world. Yes, he lives in the world because he has to live in the world. However, he desires only the beloved. His mind, his heart, his every blood cell in his body remembers the beloved all the time. This is a Sufi. That word Suf means wool. So back in the day when they used to come to the mystics, they used to come visit the Prophet, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, beloved Prophet. They would have this wool, Suf, and they would wear it, when they meditated, right? They just covered themselves in wool. So they were known as Sufis, right? Simple as that. So we just need to understand that head to toe is beloved existent. Beloved's light and love is existent. Naturally, the portal inside yourself is love. Love, meaning that you truly unconditionally fall in love with the beloved, not desiring anything else but the beloved, not even desiring heaven, right? There's a Sufi, her name is Bibi Rabia Basri. She has a saying, right? Her prayer said, "Oh beloved, oh God, if I worship you for the fear of hell, throw me into hell. If I worship you for the fear of hell, throw me into hell. And if I worship you for the desire of heaven, take away heaven from me. But if I worship you and remember you, to see your beloved face, to be in your beloved beauty, then do not take away from me your beloved beauty." Now look at that prayer. That she took away rewards, right? Reward and fear. No reward, I don't want heaven, and I have no fear of hell. I don't want any of that. You throw me there, no problem. I just want you. That's all she's saying in this whole poem. She's saying in this prayer that I only want you. So this desire is a true intimacy with God. A very sincere intimacy with God's connection to you. This is unconditional love with God. Unconditional love. And meditation is key consciousness with your conscious prayer, conscious attention and alertness. You should always be present. Never be absent. The absent person is a forgetful person. And if he's absent, he might miss that special moment with the beloved. I was actually reading something and I actually, do not be absent to yourself. He who has eyes but does not see. He who has ears but does not hear. Understand this again. He who has eyes but does not see. And he who has ears but does not hear. He who has a tongue but does not speak. He can see me as I should be seen. And can know me as I should be known. Understand that? That a person, it's a meditation with pure awareness. This word, consciousness, awareness, is being in ishq of God, in true love of God. That if you have the eyes, but you don't see, meaning you don't see anything else but the beloved. You have ears, you hear, but you only hear the beloved. You have a tongue, but you only speak of the beloved. You don't speak anything else. But now, the saint mentions that this does not mean that you should become inactive. You should not become inactive. On the contrary, it means that you should be constantly alert. This is very, very important. Meditation again, right? Very important. It means that you should be constantly alert towards the expressive beauty of the beloved. If you want your beloved to be present, do not be absent yourself for one moment from his presence. Then he mentions the perfect master is in everything and is the center of everything. Now the perfect master, the highest reality of a perfect master, meaning God is one perfect master. Okay? Everyone and everything is therefore from him. Though owing to our own limitations, he appears outwardly to be present only one place at a time. But God is on every plane of consciousness at one time and at same time. So beware, when the divine beloved knocks at the door of your heart, he finds you absent. Meaning beware, be aware, always be present in your heart. That meditation of the heart. A lot of the meditations that are taught is to still the mind. The reality is it's not about stilling the mind. It's actually focusing on the love in your heart. When you keep focusing on stilling the mind, more and more thoughts will continue to come in your mind. That's just the way God created it, right? There's tools coming at you. You have to pick and choose which tool to use. If something doesn't work for you, you negate that. But God has given you this mental capacity to use it as a tool, but not let it be the master. You see? The master is the heart, in the heart, and the higher self. And this guides you intuitively of the mind. The tools in the mind come from the heart. Now, when the heart is reflecting the light purely, the frequency is accurate, you're going to hear everything from God exactly the way He's telling you. The reality of God. So the whole Sufi meditation purpose is divine remembrance, zikr, and meditation. To purify the inner self so you can reach the higher self. That higher self leads you to the reality of God. And this whole system has continued over 1400 years, where there's a master and a student. And one master may have thousands of students, but his goal, if it's a true master, his goal will always be to light the flame in your heart and turn your eyes looking outwardly. Instead of looking outwardly, they're looking inwardly. So everything that you see outwardly is coming from the inward now. It's not coming from your ego self. And this is the whole journey of man. Self-realization is God realization. When you realize yourself, you know God. It's as simple as that. But it takes a little work. A little bit of work. But if you're truly in love, you'll dance yourself to God. No rules and regulations but love is required. Love is required. Meditation is a word for unconditional love. Meditation is a word for attention on only the beloved. Attention only in your heart. You start at a small pace, and then you slowly, your tree grows into a kingdom of trees. So this is the reality of our light. We are the light. We are the soul. The inner self is the outer self, and the outer self is the inner self. This is the completion of the man. That my outside and my inside is the same. No difference. It should be the same. If your inner self purifies, then you, inside and outside, should be one. Because the whole story is about becoming one. With the one. You become one with the one. You merge with the one, then there's only one. This is La ilaha illallah. This is a zikr we'll also do today, together. Where are we with time? 9:30, okay. If anybody has to use the washroom or anything, please feel free. 5 minutes, less than 5 minutes, we'll start zikr. Get comfortable, channel yourself, inner self, breathing. How are you, Jerry? Welcome.
Alhamdulillah.
Thank you. Hello, Marina. Eric, come on over. Come on, Jared. Right here. How are you, brother? Sit down. Mohsin bhai? Come on, guys. We'll do zikr together here in a group circle. When we sit together in a circle, it increases our union with the beloved. gonna get hot in here.
Gotta get to the uniform.
Uniform, no? So next we're gonna do zikr, which is gonna be chanting together, the mantra, zikr. So that's the word we use, the zikr, right? Participate, I'll go slow, I'll say it in English first so that intention stays in your mind. And then when we start reciting, you want to lose yourself in the zikr. Meaning that I don't exist, only the zikr exists. Zikr of the beloved exists, no other. And in this reality, the light of God is connecting all of us to one light, oneness. Only one voice is reciting, not many voices. There's many people reciting, but there's only one voice reciting one about the one, only of the beloved. Make your intention that there's no other existence but God's existence in this moment. No other existence, only Allah's existence. No other existence, only Allah's existence.
Yeah, I don't know if you said it, but silence phones. Vibration.
Yeah.
Something like that. Interrupt the space. Silence. So.
As always. In the name of God, in the name of Allah, the most compassionate, the most merciful. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. 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 Staying inside your heart, I do not exist. Only the reality of God exists. When I don't exist, only the reality of God exists. I confess I do not exist. My ego self does not exist. Only the reality of Allah exists. Only one God, only one God, only Allah, only one Allah, only Allah, only one Allah. Illallahu, illallah, illallahu, illallah, illallahu, illallah, illallahu, illallah, illallahu, illallah. Illallahu illallah, 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 illallahu illallah. Illallahu illallah, 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 illallahu illallah. Illallahu illallah, illallahu illallah, illallahu illallah, illallahu illallah. Only you, God, only you. Only you, only you, God, only you, Allah, only you. Allahu, Allah, 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 Allahu, Allah. Recite Allahu for the next zikr. The who should strike into your heart. The who should get absorbed into your heart. When you recite who, a light of who is absorbing into the deepest divine part of your heart, in the innermost heart, the spiritual heart. Allah, only you. God, only your reality, only you exist. Allahu,
Allahu, Allahu, Allahu, Allahu, Allahu, Allahu, Allahu, Allahu. Allah
Continuing the same rhythm of Allahu. Breathe in Allah, breathe out Hu. Breathe in Allah, breathe out Hu. You're not going to say it, you're just going to think Allah in your heart and Hu in your mind, in your forehead. Focusing only on your breath. Breath in is Allah, breath out is Hu. You're going to start with a faster breathing pattern, giving no gap to the mind to think in between. You're only going to breathe in Allah, breathe in Allah, and breathe out Hu. God, only He. God, only You. Breathe in Allah, breathe out Hu. Carry on. Okay, hold your breath in. Just hold it in. Take a deep breath and hold it in. Find your pulse. Find your heartbeat. Find your pulse. You can put your hand on your chest for your heartbeat, your pulse on your neck, on your wrist. Find your pulse. Wherever you hear it more prominent, find your pulse. And now with your mind, with your feeling, you're going to only feel the beating of the heart. Every beat is saying Allah, Hu. Allah, Hu. Allah, Hu. Allah, Hu. Allah, Hu. Focus on that beat. No other thoughts. No other thoughts should come in your mind. Just Allahu. Allahu. Every time your breath, you can't hold it any longer, release the breath and then take a new fresh breath in, hold it, and go back to focusing on your heartbeat. Fully absorb yourself in this. Your mind should be empty of all other thoughts. Full absorption in this heartbeat of Allah. Every heartbeat is complete focus, complete attention. Let go of all your thoughts, any inner chatter, any of your ego you're holding on to. You just release that. Release all other conversations. Just release everything else. Only you're focusing on your heartbeat. There's no other existence in this moment. Now you see that there's a flame, there's a light in your heart. You visualize, you feel that there is a flame in your heart. A flame is lit in your heart. You only feel this flame. You negate the mind at all cost. You don't let the mind tell you that I don't feel the flame, I don't see the flame, I can't visualize the flame. All these thoughts, negate them all. Take a deep breath in, Allah, and breathe out Hu, and always return me back to your heart, that there is a flame in my heart, the light in my heart. Feel this light in my heart, and this same light I feel in my mind. In the deepest, in the core of my mind, I feel this light. Everything else, nothing else, pay no attention to anything else. Fully absorbing in your mind, in your heart, in this light. The same light is all in your body. in your whole body. It's traveled from your mind all the way to your feet, and your entire body is this light. But our attention fully absorbed in the heart. We are aware of this light, our light, the light of God, the light of Allah. We feel this light. We feel this light, and we know this light is our light. This is me. This is who I am. I am the light. I am the soul. I am not the body. I am not identifying myself with this body. I am only identifying I am only a soul. I am a soul. And in this room there is only one soul, one light. In this entire existence of the universe, there's only one light, beaming, glittering. Think about this. Contemplate only, I am the light. And I am the light, I only exist. There's no other existence, only my existence. And when my existence, only God existence. I am not the body. I only identify with the soul. I am the soul, I am the light. I am the light of God. No other thoughts, no past, no future, only in this presence, only in this present moment. I am sitting at the throne of God. I'm sitting with God at the throne of God. No other existence, only God. I desire nothing, only God. I surrender fully to God. من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم
صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين. Ya Allah, thank you that you have gathered all of us today here in your court, Ya Allah, to remember you and have your remembrance in our hearts, and your meditation in our hearts, and giving us the opportunity to recognize you in the innermost of our hearts. Ya Allah, give us tawfiq, give us hikmat, give us true intentions and true love into only living a life which is worth living, which is to recognize your beauty and recognizing you and recognizing the ultimate reality of who you are. Ya Allah, bless all the brothers and sisters that you have gathered here. You have gathered all of us here today. Ya Allah, bless all of us and bless our most cleanest of intentions and make those cleanest of intentions our reality. Ya Allah, forgive us for our minor sins. Forgive us for our egoistic ways. Forgive us for those things that we are not aware of. And Ya Allah, please save us from our own nafs. Please save us from our own egos. Ya Allah, there is only one reality. It is your light. It is your reality. It is your essence. Completely help us absorb into your divine beauty. Ya Allah, bless my beloved master, Pir Mastwaar Qalandar. Ya Allah, bless his health. Bless his health. Bless his health. Ya Allah, I thank you for placing Pir in our lives, and because of his existence in our lives, we are sitting here today in the West remembering your beloved name. Ya Allah, bless Pir You have blessed him so much that he has alivened your zikr in our hearts. Ya Allah, he has alivened, he has made your zikr alive in our hearts, and he has made your zikr, your light, alive in our hearts by his character, by his ways, and by the ways he stays in zikr. You have blessed him and bless him, and you have put such responsibility on him. Ya Allah, make us among those that are true servants as he is. Make us among those servants as he is. Ya Allah, make us among those lovers as he is. Ya Allah, he has given his complete life for you. Ya Allah, give us tawfiq to give our complete self to you as well. Ya Allah, bless our beloved Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, who is the locus of light and the creator of all the walis, all the qalandars, all the saints, all the awliya Allah. He is the pure light who has created nur ala nur of all the saints, all of the awliya in our lives. Ya Allah, bless His Highness, bless His Majesty. Ya Allah, bless Mawla Ali, bless Imam Hassan and Hussein. Ya Allah, bless the Ahl Bayt and bless this family lineage. Bless this lineage for giving us the light and giving us this power of your name in our hearts, this responsibility of your name, this treasure of your name in our hearts. Ya Allah, just give us the responsible self, the real self, who can hold on to your majesty, hold on to your secret, and hold on to your name, hold on to your love. Let us be true servants of you, Ya Allah. Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Mawlana Muhammad wa ala ali Sayyidina Mawlana Muhammad wa barik wa sallam. اللهم صل على سيدنا مولانا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا مولانا محمد وبارك وسلم. اللهم صل على سيدنا مولانا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا مولانا محمد وبارك وسلم. وصلى الله على حبيبه محمد وآله وسلم. صلى الله على حبيبه محمد وآله وسلم. صلى الله على حبيبه محمد وآله وسلم. حق لا إله إلا الله محمد رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم.